One of the biggest things that people need to understand about the birth certificate, it is a fact in law. It is not you, a fact. It is literally under Uniform Commercial Code 9, a registered organization, a corporation. It's an ins legis trust, bunch of different names. Okay. It's how the United States corporation is able to conduct business with you. Now go look up the words persona, go look up the words identity, and get your mind wrapped around what you're doing. Identity, where two or more things are operating as one. You and the BC are operating as one. There's this thing called holding the office, meaning I got a job. That's what it is. The United States citizen is the birth certificate. And what they did is they took all Americans, people, God-given, unalienable rights people, and they gave them a contract to become an employee, get a social security number after they purposely crashed the economy while the major bankers were down the street watching everybody jump out of the two-story window in 1929, and they were hitting the streets and dying. He was waiting for it to get down to 5 cents on the dollar, and then he bought it all. Okay. That's literally what happened, literally what happened. And so in the next 3 or 4 years, we went through a major recession, and then we got a new deal. They bankrupted the United States corporation. This is all fact and law, HJR 192. And then they created the Social Security Administrative Act, and they gave people an opportunity to have a job and give them an employment ID number called a Social Security number. Okay, Social Security. Now, this is important to get our mind wrapped around, because there's a Supreme Court ruling, Rundle versus Delaware. A corporation cannot do business with a living man. Now listen to me. This is why I know in court, and you go through the process of understanding our docs that we've created, and our docs explain it all. When you go into court and they say there's no such thing as a straw man, or you're a trustee of the trust, you're the beneficial interest of the registered organization, you're playing court games and the judge is playing back and forth with you. I don't recommend doing that at all. There's other ways to accomplish things, and it's by coming out and being private and being a state citizen and not even having to deal with that kind of stuff. We do this for the big game. We do this for the forced vaccinations. We do this for the forced chips that are coming. We do this for the whatever. And you know, I hope that's not a mark on my YT account that I just said, but anyway, so we do this for that reason. And it's very important for people to get their minds wrapped around that those things are plausible in the future. And some people want that and some people don't. And the people that are coming to us don't. And so that's why we do this. It's a matter of understanding who you are, and that when you differentiate yourself from the BC, you mean I quit the corporation. Title 28, subsection 3002. The United States is a corporation. The United States' exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia. 9 USC 307H. 9 USC 307H. So what does that make the rest of America? The 50 continental states, if the United States exclusive jurisdiction is in the District of Columbia. And guess where the exclusive jurisdiction of your birth certificate rides? It's held at the Securities and Exchange Commission in Washington, D.C. Guess where your governor's office is? In Washington, D.C. Okay. Everything that the states have done is they've given jurisdiction over federal buildings, over public schools, over airports, both small and large. They've given jurisdiction over a lot of different things, because the federal government was giving loans and grants to the airports, this, that, and the other. Now they've taken them over with Homeland Security, changed the processes. This is how they get everybody, is travel. They make you agree to being an office holder of the person on your driver's license, office holder of the person on your Social Security, office holder of the person on the IRS docs. You become a taxpayer. You become a United States citizen, meaning because you're holding that office. What is the office? The office is called U.S. citizen. That's the office position. It's got policies and procedures. It's got statutes and codes, and it's got a whole policy and procedural force, police force that engages you and enforces the policy. Where do they gain jurisdiction? Your driver's license. Why? Because you took this piece of paper known as a birth certificate that they own, that has exclusive jurisdiction in DC, and you said, I want a job. I want to be a US citizen. Literally, that's what you're saying. And you do it right on the birth certificate application, the live born record application. You do it on your driver's license, you do it on your IRS docs, you do it on your SSA docs, you do it on everything. And so that office position known as US citizen is something you're holding dear to, like it's the same as being a citizen of the United States of America. And here's the best way to put the United States, because states means people, we the people. That's literally the sovereignty of the king passed to the states, Supreme Court ruling. The state, that people think, is an organization, it's a corporation. No, the state is the people. Look it up in Black's Law, lowercase definition of state, body of people. Look at the capital letter definition of state, community of persons, artificial persons. Do you know in their statute codes and ordinances, you'll never see the word man or woman. Never see the word man or woman. What does that mean to you? Well, it means that everything is over only that office position, the US citizen, the birth certificate. And if you knew how to handle the birth certificate and you knew how to handle yourself in court, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. We don't teach all that. We do enforcement though. And the reason why we don't teach that is because the variables that can happen with law enforcement, the variables that can happen with judges. Nevertheless, it's something that is needed to know. And I encourage people to go and investigate what they can do to help themselves in the event of. But look, this isn't for tickets. This is for forced things. This is for, a train ride down the road. You know what I mean? This is why we do this, is we want our freedom under God. It's something that's our God-given unalienable rights. We live in the greatest nation on earth. And yes, this nation is being flushed down fast by different interests. And they're both on the Republican and the Democratic side. And it's disgusting to watch what is happening right now. And there's 350 million people, and we're all fighting over gender and identity and gay versus straight, black versus white, GMO versus organic, you name it, we're fighting. Police, black people, police, Mexicans, border crisis, this, border crisis, that. You can't deal with 1,000 people at the top, really? They're keeping us busy. Okay, we're the Romans reincarnated, if you will. And literally, if you take a look at what a Roman fasci symbol is, that's on both sides of our Congress, and their symbols. It's very important to understand. They expose themselves as to who they hold allegiances to, and this is a big thing. Yeah, this is recorded and it will be available probably tomorrow on HISadvocates.org. And it's also right now going to be available on youtube.com/HISadvocates. I think just type HISadvocates on YouTube, you'll find us.